Looks like it's gonna rain. Parking lots packed. This was my first time going to Gulfport and checking out Island View's new beachfront property. I have to say I was really impressed. Very clean, especially the non-smoking end. And honestly, it's just the best view on the entire strip. Most of the casinos in Biloxi were not doing a promotion for Memorial Day weekend, but surprisingly, this casino had a hot seat going. So every 5 minutes, randomly, any of the slot machines could give away $200. But even with the promotion for a Friday night, this casino was pretty dead. Since I was new to this casino, I wanted to take a look at everything, and I have to admit, it was probably the newest and nicest one that I've seen in the Biloxi area, other than maybe the Scarlet Pearl. I was impressed with the views. Not sure if I like that or not, because to me, casinos are supposed to be dark. You should feel like you're there for a long time, but I can't pass up these beach views. Although the slots were kind of empty, the table games were packed. And as a new player, they were giving away $15 free play, $15 food credit. All of my favorite Buffalo machines were taken, and it was pretty clear that there was going to be a long wait to get onto those. So I went over to a Leprechaun machine that I had tried out in New Orleans and had some luck with in the past. What you're going to see here is the strategy that I like to use when I get free play. And you probably saw this in my first video, and I'll explain it later in another. But basically, I like to add a little bit of free play just to test out the machine. So even with a small dollar amount like 15, I'm going with 5 here just to see if I like the feel of it before I invest the rest of my free play. And then I have to admit my strategy is probably a little different than most people, but anytime I push the button, if I even hit 10 cents, yes, for even 10 cents, I am cashing out my ticket, because I like to keep track of exactly how much money I've won from my free play versus how much money is still in the machine. So here I am just testing it out, and I got a wild, couple of leprechauns, nothing fancy. You know, when you're playing minimum bet like this, you can't expect too much. Just taking a look, trying to get a feel. Only at 35 cents at the moment. But then I got a little special feature here. These are pretty exciting. If you've played this machine before, then you know that the wilds can just come in randomly. And there's a lot of opportunity to hit big here. Of course, mine are spaced out a little too far, but it's still a hit, because at this point with free play, my biggest goal is to earn some free cash, right? Not too bad for a 60-cent bet. And since things were looking good, I decided to stay on this machine. Now, I did like that Island View gave you the option to download your free play in $5 increments. Not all casinos give you that opportunity. Sometimes you have to stick it all in one machine. For example, Harrah's, I get free play tickets from them, so it's really hard to cash out once you've stuck it in the machine. Unless you're getting a host or a manager to help you out, they usually frown upon switching. So here I am meticulously cashing out my tickets, just adding those up. And I find in general, anytime I get a free play, whether it's $20, $40, $150, usually the average that I return is half. So if I'm getting $15, I'm expecting about $7 back. If I'm getting $50, I'm expecting about $25 back. Now, if you're lucky, you'll get into a bonus feature and then hopefully win more than that. And so I'll just add the remaining $10 here, test it out. Now, usually I'm a max bettor. In fact, I very rarely have ever played minimum bet or anything less than max bet. But when you're dealing with only $15, max bet isn't going to take you too far. So my goal today wasn't to play max bet on 2 or 3 spins. Instead, my goal was to earn a couple of dollars to add towards my $15 food credit, get a free lunch, and then hit up the bigger casinos on the main strip in Biloxi. This truly was just a test and a demo to check out Island View. I'd never been here before, and honestly, I probably wouldn't come back. While it's beautiful on the inside, the truth is this is newly renovated, a brand new property, and you know what? They have to fund that somehow. I didn't see a lot of smiling faces on any of the slot machines. I didn't see a lot of happy players or a lot of big wins, and that's something that I like to check out when I go into a casino before I make the decision to come back. So just looking at the Leprechaun machine and the way that it plays here, I have to admit this is probably one of my second choices if the Buffalo Grand isn't available, or Buffalo Gold, or really any of the Buffalo machines. I wouldn't mind checking out the Leprechaun. Mainly I like to stick with Aristocrat games. That's my personal preference. They all have the same feel, similar features, and in my opinion, reasonable opportunity to hit some money. And that's what we're all looking for. So here I am cashing out another voucher. Now you might be wondering, why don't I just wait to the end and cash my voucher out one time to quit killing trees? Well, the only reason that I choose this method is I find that the slot machines make it a little bit difficult for you to tell how much is your money versus the credit that they gave you. So to make sure that I don't even go one spin into my real cash, I like to cash out along the way. This allows me to ensure that I am spending exactly the amount of cash that they provided to me and not $1 more. Again, this was my first time coming to the Island View, so my goal was to leave without investing a single penny into their casino. I have different strategies for different locations. Of course, anybody would be excited to hit big. So if that were to happen on a 60-cent bet with free play, I'm not going to complain. But I also know what a realistic goal is. When you're given $15, more than likely you're not going to be a jackpot hitter. The key here is to get in with the least amount of money invested and to get out with the maximum amount of return. So for me, the biggest return that I could receive was a free lunch, and that's exactly what I did. I grabbed 2 salads and I hit the road and ran over to the Hard Rock. Now the Hard Rock was totally different tonight. It was packed. It really looked like any typical Friday night in Biloxi pre-COVID. Hopped right onto the Buffalo Revolution, had a nice little hit here to get me started. So since I was feeling comfortable, feeling good, even though I don't typically play at the Hard Rock, I decided to stay and I switched over to the Buffalo Gold. Now I was sad because the Buffalo Grand is my favorite, and unfortunately Hard Rock pretty much pulled all of them out except for one, and there was a little bit of wait to get on that machine, so I decided to stick with the Gold tonight. Shortly after transferring my cash over, I jumped into a bonus. I was really excited about this because I was on max bet. I could see that some of the other machines next to me were a little bit tight. Others were not playing max bet, so I was a little hesitant, hoping that this would pay out. But so far, since I was up for the night, had a free meal from Island View, I was feeling good. I always get excited when you collect the buffaloes. For those of you who play this, you know exactly how I feel. Hitting those 2 coins and getting those extra spins, always exciting. Grabbing a couple of buffaloes just gets you closer to an even bigger payout. But from my experience, it takes about 22 spins or more before you really hit something big. Now, I have certainly seen people hit in their first couple of spins in the bonus, but unless you're getting about 20 plus spins, it's pretty hard to collect enough buffaloes to change all of the animals back to a buffalo for a really big hit. Now, I don't typically play at the Hard Rock. It's just not my preference because it's not connected to any other property. It is a Seminole-owned, basically Indian reservation property, and as a result, I'm not getting points for Tampa or for Hollywood, basically Miami, and I prefer to play down there if I'm going to play a Hard Rock. And even those Hard Rocks are the second choice since I'm a Caesars Rewards member. I personally like to play at Harrah's when I'm in Biloxi, and then of course stick with the Caesars properties when I'm in Las Vegas. So tonight was a fun night just to get out, check out the town, and I have to admit, social distancing was 50-50 here. Not everyone adhered to the rules, so if you are worried about that piece, I would probably avoid Hard Rock over the next